I am here with Thomas of many bands, but today we're here to talk about Dawn of Solace, Affliction Vortex out February 14th on Noble Demon. How's things going with you?
Good, really good. This year is shaping out to be a lot better than the previous one. So, yeah.
Yeah, I know for a fact 2024 was not your year, uh,
It won-
by no
it
means.
won. like like things went well, but there's a lot of things in the background that can stay on the background. But yeah, I fully agree. I think I have a lot of things can go wrong this year, and this will still be my year compared to the previous one. So. But
I,
a lot of good things happening, a lot of good things ahead. So this is at least starting really well.
well, and it's starting off with you releasing another Dawn of Solace record. Unfortunately, not named Waves, or Waves
Yeah.
Part 2, or Bigger Waves, or something along those lines. This one is Affliction Vortex. And there's a lot to unpack about this record, I feel. I honestly think this is the best album Dawn of Solace has ever released. I feel like it's the most complete, most mature, most organic, best sounding record. So much great stuff about this album. And I think it goes in, I hate to use this word, but it comes with a wave of success that the
Yeah.
band has had. Do you see that? Do you see Dawn of Solace moving a little bit from the shadows of Wolfheart and pushing itself a little bit more into the forefront?
Yeah. Then again, my goals and approach is completely different with Dawn of Solace. That doesn't have to happen for things to go forward musically. And I think it's still very strongly a side project, very strongly a studio project, even though this is going to be insanely busy for Dawn of Solace this year because it looks like we're going to play maybe 5 shows. Four is pretty much guaranteed already. So it's we are more active than ever. But yeah, I fully agree. It came out really well. Things clicked super well with this album. But I I don't measure anything when it comes to like success with Dawn of Solace. It's more just personal thing that has to happen for me to be in balance. So the other bands, they have a different way of doing things and different goals to approach and different things that needs to happen. I think it gets easier and easier with each Dawn of Solace album to be on point what we want to sound like and what we want to achieve musically. And if that brings more successful and more listeners for the band, that's a huge bonus on top of everything. But yeah, if we would have different approach, I think the band could be quite much bigger at this point, but that's never going to be the goal with Dawn of Solace.
Even though it's not the goal for you, if people buy it, if people listening to it, if the streams go up, if the success comes organically, you can't shut the door on it.
No, 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 of course, and it will definitely help with the future albums, and we can do more videos, better production, whatever. If of course it helps, but that's like I wouldn't do an album for Dawn of Solace if that wouldn't be guaranteed from the beginning, and it's not depending on the success that would follow on the album. And so it's a weird thing to me. It's so personal thing that I just don't measure things the same way. I don't look at the numbers, and I don't, which is a good thing because when I go to this Dawn of Solace bubble, it's more just about the music, and I'm a lot more relaxed. I feel better when I work with this band because the whole music business side and Excel sheets and daily look at the numbers doesn't really affect that much because it's just the music. And I think that's why it's so important to have this project this active as it is. Like I think it's like 4 years and 3 albums, or 5 years and 3 albums, because it balances things a lot with Wolfhard and Before the Dawn.
And it comes across in the music. It comes across, like I said, very organic. It feels very natural. Just doing music for the love of the music. And then I think that also reflects on how listeners connect with the record. I thought this album sounded heavier than previous records. It sounded more open. The sound was not as restricted. The sound was a little bit bigger. And obviously, we're going to talk about the vocals. But sound-wise, it was just a bigger sounding record. Did you change anything? studio-wise, production-wise, in order to create that bigger sounding album?
We didn't change anything. We tried to do everything better. I think that if you do the job well enough, that should bring the difference already. Like slowly, I'm very slowly, but I'm getting there as a drummer. I start to sound better in the studio. I've gotten rid of some technical mistakes that was like built into my playing when I was younger because I didn't take any lessons. I just started playing, not very smart way to learn anything. Uh, so yeah, I'm able to do things better on this album than the previous one and better than the Waves at the comeback album. And we really focused on just doing everything better enough that it is still hearable difference. Also, like these arrangements and choices with the vocals on this album like expands the sound a little bit also. There's more heavier parts, there's more like grim. If you change the drum patterns in some parts, that could be just black or death metal. Also with the Mikko's growlings also.
Growling.
This on top of mine, there's two new voices on this album. And with Mikko's high, super evil voice that can also push the songs into very dark places and come back to very like big and melodic ones. The whole like variety is bigger.
Yeah, that's the thing that I noticed. It's that previous records all had this very linear gloominess to them. Event Horizon Waves had this gloominess to them. And this one, you guys alternated a lot better from a track by track basis. But even within the songs, it's an album that has a lot more dynamic movement within it.
Yeah.
It has some melodic death metal pieces. It has some doom pieces. It has some death metal pieces. And speaking of your drums, I felt like on this record, you took a little bit more challenges and pushed some of the drum sound a little bit more into the forefront with some more heaviness and not relying on having it more in the back. Is that coming from your learning experiences?
Well, it helps with the mixing balance when you do things better. Like if there's a certain amount of stiffness in your groove, then the drum shouldn't be that much in the front. Like it's of course like executing things better like gives a lot more freedom on the mix because then you don't need to put things on the background. I don't think we did that on the previous albums, but uh but yeah, that definitely helped. It's always helps to be a better musician. It's
I think that's a fundamental.
yeah.
It's a fundamental. You mentioned the vocals. I think that's the big surprise of the record. Because if I go back to some conversations that we had when you guys came back with Waves, I asked you about harsh vocals and that kind of stuff, and you're like, "No, I have other things where I use those. I like to keep things simple." But you guys didn't keep it simple this time. You're in it vocally. Amigos is in it as well. He's using his harsh vocals as well. It's very dynamic. Like you said, there's four different voices on this record.
Yeah, well, it's on the previous two albums, we didn't feel the need. We had that discussion in studio with each album, and we didn't feel the need. Now we did, so it's not like it's something that we cast in stone, and this is how we're gonna do it every album. But this album it made a lot of sense, and I've been aware of Mikko's ability as a harsh vocalist for a long time, and now I asked him to like just put some ideas on the demos and it sounded phenomenal.
I don't
And
know if you're.
even in the studio, he tried to back down. Like he was like, "Oh, I'm done with the clean vocals, so I think I'm gonna go home." I'm like, "God, you had some growling stuff and high screams. They were insanely good. Like, you wanna try those?" No, no, I'm not gonna do anything. Like you had it on a demo. Come on, man, just try it out. And we actually had to like we used several minutes to convince him to even try, and he did all the vocals like in half an hour. So it's
It sounds phenomenal, and
yeah.
I don't know if you're aware of this, but every time, well, maybe not every time, but a few times that we've done videos from Dawn of Solace on the channel throughout the years. Even me, when I'm in Finland and I'm talking to people about the band, I heard a lot of times from fans that, man, this sounds amazing, but some harsh vocals here, some harsh vocals there
Yeah,
would make things better. Have you ever heard those comments as well? And did that play any role whatsoever?
I've heard, and no, it doesn't play because, because it's. I think it is very dangerous path for any band or songwriter or artist to start listening too much of the fans because each fan is an individual. And some people want to have the growling. Some people are really happy that there is no growling on this. It's just Mikko on the vocals of the previous album. So you're never gonna be able to please everybody. But if you take those comments into your songwriting, then who are you actually writing the music for? Who are you making the arrangements for? And you don't know if that person that 2 years ago said like, this song would be perfect with some growling, but it's a different song. It's a different mood. It's a different emotion. It's a different everything. That is a different person. So who am I designing the song for if I start to like listening to if everybody would say that the snare sound of the album is horrible, then that is probably how it is and that should have been changed. But when it's just basically opinions and matter of taste, then that's I've heard a lot of those comments, but not that shouldn't affect, and it didn't affect, and it was this close that Mikko didn't even do the vocals at the studio. It wasn't an easy process to get him behind the mic. He was in the beginning, he was very confident, not even trying those. So
So we're glad that you pulled the right strings and you made it happen. Now, you also said that nothing is etched in stone, and you go with the flow of what you feel it's right for the record and what's right for the song. Does that mean that this approach vocally may not be there in a future record?
it's probably gonna be there. Now that I it would now feel weird. Like it's too early to say anything about the next album or next song or whatever, but it would be weird to step back and like make everything more simple and narrow the variety. So I would like to use more of Mikko's growling. He has such a different tone than I have, and he can bring so much more like evilness and grim that I can ever do. So there's a good chance the next album will be a lot darker than the any of the albums we done for Dawn of Solace, but that's just my guess at this moment.
Like from your delivery, I always get more of a sense of aggression and intensity, but from his delivery, it's always much somber.
Yeah,
That's the vibe that I get. It's really easy to see which one is doing what within the song, and I think that creates vocally, it makes the song also come alive a lot better.
yeah, I do agree.
That's my take. Now, speaking of Miko and you, I know how it is to. I mean, I don't know how it is to work with you, but I know how it is to, have a relationship with you. I know what kind of person you are. Who's harder to work with? You to work with Miko or Miko to work with you?
I know that we would need to have Mikko in here. I don't I would like to think that I'm pretty easy to work with. Mikko is always a question mark to me. Like that one of the things I love about him that like he always manages to surprise me. He's very interesting person, mildly put it. Very artistic person, very like impulsive when it comes to creating music and when we work with the vocals. Uh, but I think that's one of the biggest strengths that he has also. He can just pull things at the moment, and I just try to follow the mood and the room where we are at the same time. Just I'm keeping on track where he's going, but it's always kind of like roller coaster working with him. But it's also always super easy. But he's very special person. All in a good, not in a special Olympics way, but like this genius level, like emotionally and artistically very impulse kind of special.
So is it, I know for you, this is, like you mentioned before, a side project, something that you have fun doing it. Does he take this a similar approach to Dawn of Solace as you do?
We never talked about that, but I think because he has Kaunis Kuolematon,
Mhm.
and that's clearly the like we when it comes to like scheduling stuff in general, that like his schedules with Kaunis Kuolematon and mine with Wolfhard and Before the Dawn, those if they overlap, then we need to move Dawn of Solace naturally. So yeah.
Yeah, that's an interesting thing. I honestly like the dynamic of the two of you. Will it always continue the two of you? Will you guys have some guests on future tracks that you'll be doing?
I don't think we would need. Like, I know that we could get even more diversity out from Mikko. I think I've reached my peak. Like what comes out from my voice is my voice. And then again, like why should I try to do something that Mikko does better? At least in this concept of Dawn of Solace, but he could bring even more from his vocals. So why would we have somebody else? I don't think it would contribute in a way that it would make the music better.
So basically, what you're saying is you're not going to be doing any clean vocals on any future records.
No. Again, if you think like the clean vocalist I work with on my bands in the past and present, I would never be able to top that. Even if I would have a really, really good voice, it would take so much time to master the voice on the level that I could perform at studio or live, that I would even be on the same level with them. And so, and I'm 45 in a few months. I think I would have already done something about that if that would be in my interest at all. I like do growling. I have no interest in clean vocals at all.
Are you surprised with how proficient you guys have been releasing records since the return? You guys went such a long period of time with no music, but now, like you said, 3 records in 5 years, if I'm not mistaken.
And what was the question? Am I surprised?
Yeah, like
Oh,
did you expect that when you did the comeback record? Did you expect, okay, now that we're coming back, we're gonna be doing records more frequently?
well, the comeback album was kind of like testing the waters also, just to see if the audience is there. Like if, of course, music business plays also a role always. Like if you don't hit the certain numbers in the end, you don't financially be able to do certain level of releases with the professional level of promotion and distribution, videos and stuff like that. So certain numbers need to be reached to be able, but that made sense to continue after the comeback album. Uh, Not surprised at all. Like it's so easy to make Dawn of Solace. It's kind of like the songs that I constantly play. That's my white noise. Let's put it that way. So it's I think the recordings of the previous album, like the new album, not but to me it's previous album because I made that months ago. But the new album, the we spent less than 10 days, I think, for the recordings. Like it's just so easy and fast to write the songs, to record the songs, to get the sound out. So we have mastered the process. So it's like 90% of just creation and then just sound and everything follows. So yeah, with Wolfhard it's just so much longer process. With Before the Dawn the same. With Dawn of Solace I could do like one album in a year when it comes to just raw schedules and stuff like that. But yeah, no, not surprised at all.
Is the track listing of a Dawn of Solace record important for you? Because over the last 3 albums, including this one, I always feel like the outside, in this case, this record, outside of the intro track, obviously has to be there. But outside of that track, I feel like everything else is very movable. Like you could move the tracks around. The experience of the record doesn't really change because I always find the experience is more driven by the individual songs, not necessarily by the overall collective. So is the process of putting the track listing together important, defining for you?
It is not as important for example with Wolfhard because yeah, like you said, there could be a lot of like different versions of the track list of each album. Of course, we do decide in our end with the Saku and Mikko that what is our like main idea, what we want to have the track list. But yeah, it's pretty flexible.
So you agree, there's not like a direct impact on what the overall experience of the record will be.
No.
I've always gotten that vibe. Does that come from how you create the songs? You create them more on an individual basis, not necessarily thinking of what the overall collective is going to be like?
Yeah.
When you're working on these tracks for Dawn of Solace, do you know immediately that that idea that came to your mind, that riff, that melody, this is going to be Dawn of Solace?
Yeah, I always work album at the time.
Okay.
So it's then every good idea is Dawn of Solace idea. And it's just matter of like, can I fit it to a song? Can I fit that to the album? But I never like circle the ideas like, well, this is too much of Wolfheart. Let's make a Wolfheart song in the middle, and then we come back to the Dawn of Solace. Like yeah, every like and with Dawn of Solace it's so much easier because it's such a like a gloomy mindset that I get into when I write for Dawn of Solace. So it kind of like sets in a good way the boundaries for music. The music has to sound in a good way sad, and it has to like fit for the mood. It's a lot different with Wolfheart, especially because there's so much places where the music should go and need to go, and but yeah.
I was going to say with the year that you had of 2024 being so shitty, was that the main inspiration for the gloominess of this record?
No, no, it's like I said, Dawn of Soul is the white noise in my head constantly. So the good or bad times doesn't really affect. Like, and the thing is, like, I don't write well when I'm in a bad place. I need when I'm happy and things I feel that things are in a good balance, then it's like the most creative time for me. I can't use the negativity as a fuel for creation at all. It just takes all the energy just to like cope with the situation. But yeah, the and it wasn't that shitty. It was kind of shitty, but it's not like
There were some bright spots.
yeah. There was a lot of good things. A lot of good things happened, and like we did the Dawn of Solace album and the videos during the previous year, and we did really good tours with Wolfheart. So it's like things happened, but also like it's a balanced year. Like we were barely on the plus in the end with all the things that consideration we consider, but it wasn't that bad.
So in 2025, will we finally see Donna Solace do what Wolfheart did back in 2018, which is a full-on Canadian tour?
No,
We have to wait longer.
you probably gonna need to wait a lot longer. Um, yeah, I would kind of like. I'm not against of touring with Dawn of Solace, but it's I'm really well aware of the size of the band and a lot of schedule challenges. Like Mikko has his own personal life, plus Kaunis Kuolematon. They've been really active. They play a lot of shows last year. They are still like every album, they are growing bigger and better. So it makes the most sense for him to put most of his times there. But yeah, I'm not against. We wouldn't be able to do long tours anyway. We could squeeze maybe like 1 week here or there. But again, I have a hired guys for the rest of the live lineup. So financially, it's a little bit heavy band to move around. And we're gonna start announcing tours for both Wolfhard and Before the Dawn, hopefully in next few weeks. So I don't have the time either on my calendar. Like I'm pretty full booked until January 26th.
But that's a great thing.
It is a good thing. It's a good thing. And those bands are kind of like built for touring also. Dawn of Solace is I would be very picky of the venues and the places anyway, because I can't put Dawn of Solace just somewhere. it has to fit for the mood, and I like it more than every show is a special event also for the band. Something like we look forward for months and then it happens, than instead of then one show being one of 60 or 70 shows we do a year. So this is, I like it the way it is like now.
So with the 5 shows that you have going on for 2025, that's kind of like you're happy with that number.
Yeah, that's the busiest we've I think ever. So this is, yeah, and it's those are good shows, and those some of them are very special things that I didn't think that we could be able to do, which I'm not able to announce yet, but they're going to be announced hopefully in a few weeks or something. And like every show is going to be special in its way, like something we've never done before. Like we haven't played a club show in Finland in 17 years. No, wait.
Wow.
The last time we played, I think it was 2006 or 2007. So even the show in Helsinki that's going to take place 19th of February, that's super special because we haven't done those in ages. And there's going to be some like a very, very special acoustic shows in a very special venue. So I like this a lot more. None of the shows are just bulk shows that are just something we do regularly, but every time we do something,
More
it's super
meaningful.
for the fans and the listeners and the band also.
I love that vibe. I think it's a great vibe for Dawn of Solace because, like you said, the venue. I think it's important. The band has an aura, has a vibe.
Yeah,
So everything has to, enhance that vibe. You can't just put it anywhere and hope it works.
yeah. But it probably, if you have that mentality, then probably it doesn't work. Like if you need to like cross your fingers that maybe this will turn out well, it probably doesn't, because then you are stepping into the environment where a lot of things are not in your control. So if you don't know for a fact that this is where we belong and this is where the show is going to sound and look like as it should, then that's going to be bad. I have other bands to do the bad ones.
Yeah, you have a busy schedule. I'm happy to hear that 2025 is going to be the year of Thomas, that you're going to have a lot of work and be busy touring. I hope to see you on this side of the Atlantic at some point in time. Looking forward to some of the shows because Wolfheart released a phenomenal record last year as well, Before the Dawn. Like you're super busy. I want to see some of that stuff trickle in into North America. So hopefully 2025 will bring us that.
I do hope so. It's the US looks very complicated. The visa price, I know a lot of bands that are going to struggle this year already with because a lot of bands have their visas going to be expired. So everybody's facing the higher prices now. So it's a lot of bands are having very like complicated math in their hands. But with the Canadian shows, it's completely different. So that's something at least with the Wolfhard Before the Dawn that we could a lot more easily to make happen.
Yes, I mean, even if I know a few bands recently that did just East Coast instead of having to travel all the way as you've done. So you
Yeah,
know exactly how the travel is. But instead of doing all of that just to play a show in Vancouver and a show here and there, they just booked 8 shows within the East Coast of Canada because there's enough big cities to house those shows, and it's a lot less expensive. Expensive in terms of traveling costs, less expensive in terms of visas and all of that, and they made it happen. They made it work.
yeah. And we made it work already like 2017, was it?
Yeah, I think
Or
it was 17 or 18,
yeah,
but probably
yeah.
17.
And that was a really good one. Like that's but then the North America as a whole came into the picture. So then the main pressure went to the US shows. But now we have a different situation. So now it would make sense to skip US. I don't like I do love touring there, but if the math is everything on your Excel sheet is just screaming red, that's not a good.
It,
That's like because it's risky already in Europe. Like everything is more expensive in Europe, so it's not like financially it's super easy and good in Europe anymore. So have taking financial risks in two continents, something will backfire, and you're gonna be. Yeah, oh, I was just telling you about the math. Like it's if you get home from the tour and you have 15,000 or 20,000 euros or dollars on minus, that's going to stall the whole progress of the band. That's just
No,
nobody
that
wants
just
to
doesn't
have
make
that.
financially doesn't make
And
sense.
there's no, yeah, and there's no easy way out. If that happens, I've seen that from other bands, and if that happens, then you're gonna lose 1 or 2 years just to recover, and that's too much.
Yeah. I don't think there's I don't think there's any there's nothing good about going on the road knowing that from the get-go, most likely you're going to be on the red by the time you finish the
Yeah,
tour. It's just not feasible. It would be like me coming to work to lose money.
yeah.
You know, just doesn't make sense. Thomas, thank you very much for your time, man. Dawn of Solace, Affliction Vortex out February 14th on Noble Demon. I'm going to have the pre-order link on the description of this video so people can go pick it up. Like I said, my favorite Dawn of Solace record that you guys ever released, and I'm not going to lie, the vocals have a lot to do with it.
Yeah, that's good. I fully agree on everything you said. It's my favorite already, and yeah, the vocally it came out really well. I'm not just talking about my vocals, but having Mikko do also the growling and the higher screams, I think that kind of like perfected the whole album.
I agree. And overall, the sound on this album is also better. It feels more natural, it feels bigger, and I think it goes well with the dynamic of the vocals because you cannot have those vocals in the record and then have the sound of the album be very like stagnant.
Yeah,
One kind of pushes the other.
yeah. But that's Saku with the recording and mixing and mastering and producing. So like yeah, I think everybody's up their game on this album. So it's the whole group effort that made the whole album as like it's relatively easy to write songs. It's not that easy always to make a full album and make the album sound as it should be when it comes to the music on the album. But on this album, yeah, everybody was on top of their game.
And on that note, thank you very much. I'll see you soon. Perfect.